Welcome to another episode of the QC FitFest Podcast. I'm your hostess with the mostest, just Joni, and I've got the host with the most, Chris Maltsburger, on the line as well. Got to take care of our vendors and all of the people giving us love over at our website at QCFitFest.com. Shout out to our title sponsor, the Iowa Army National Guard. And we just wanted to also make sure that we let you know about some upcoming events, because the QC FitFest down at the River Center, Saturday, September 11th from 11 to 6 is not the only event that we're doing. It's just going to be the biggest event. We've got another event going on the very next day. Chris, why don't you tell us about that?
Thanks, Joni. On top of the QC FitFest, the Health and Fitness Expo, we also, the next day, Sunday, September 12th, we're also going to be hosting a really amazing basketball camp. It's called the Hardwood Heroes. It's going to be at the Life Fitness Center, which is in Bettendorf, Iowa. And we have some truly amazing coaches. You know, one of the coaches that's going to be coming in is Jason Caffey, who is a former NBA player. He won a couple rings with the Chicago Bulls back in the Jordan Pippen days. We have a gentleman by the name of Sergio McLean. Anybody who is an Illini fan knows exactly who Sergio McLean is. Probably one of, if not the best Illini player to ever come out of there. Obviously, we had him on a previous podcast. And then we have some local coaches. We have an assistant coach from St. Ambrose, Murphy Carter. And then we have another local gentleman, Ed Hafferman. He went to Rockridge High School, ended up going to Blackhawk College, and is now the head coach at Normal West High School in Normal, Illinois. And for our fifth guest, and definitely not least, tonight's guest, Mr. Acie Earl. He's Acie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, Acie Earl, former Moline player, Moline High School.
Moline Maroons.
Yep, graduating class of 88. Then went on to play for the Hawkeyes and entered the NBA draft in 1993 and was drafted by the Celtics, played 2 years there, year and a half with Toronto, and about a year with Milwaukee, and then 8 years overseas. And just have been coaching since, teaching, hosting camps, training kids, a variety of things.
Still in the game. And one thing to our listeners, obviously, if you're a Hawkeyes fan, there's tons of Hawkeyes fans in the Quad Cities. Obviously, everybody knows who Acie Earl is. And you got drafted by my favorite team. A lot of people don't realize this, but I'm actually a diehard Celtics fan. I discovered the Celtics in the 80s. You know, I was born in 82, and I discovered them in the late 80s, and that's when Bird and Parrish and McHale and all of them were just dominating. I loved watching the Celtics. Obviously, I became a Bulls fan later on when during the ring period. But so I am I'm an AC fan all the way, because you're a Quad City guy. You ended up going to the Hawkeyes, and then you got drafted by the Celtics. So I absolutely love it. We appreciate you coming to our camp to help coach out.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it'd be quite a roster of guys. Jason Caffey. I think.
Did you play with Jason at the Bucks? Was he there then?
No, I played against him when he was with the Bulls.
Gotcha.
So
okay, because he came to the Bucks later on.
I think he's a year or two younger than me. So gotcha. I got to play against Jason, in the NBA, and then Sergio when I was running the QC team, the QC Riverhawks. Mm-hmm. Sergio was running the Peoria team. I was the assistant coach and the GM of that team, and I think Sergio was like player coach or something. So we had a little rivalry there.
Nice.
And then Murphy Carter actually played for us for a little bit.
Is that right?
Yeah, he played for us a little bit, and he actually was really good friends with my younger brother. He played at Blackhawk with my younger brothers. So I've known Murphy for a lot. So yeah, it'd be kind of a fun day to catch up with those guys, because we all have some basketball history.
That's fantastic. I really love I love the connection there, and I love how we're kind of bringing this full circle. Joni?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what an amazing day that we're offering kids and people in the Quad Cities. I'm so excited that we're going to be doing Hardwood Heroes. Thank you guys both for organizing this event and for making yourselves available to help out, kids who could always glean so much from so many pros in one room. I can't believe how many of you are going to be reuniting at this particular event. Now, Acie, I get kind of emotional when we talk about careers and all the things that others have learned throughout their careers. What are some really like golden nugget things that you've learned throughout your career in basketball and in helping others that you apply to your life or that has really stuck with you throughout the years?
The game is truly a global game. And what I mean by that, not only do fans from other countries and all that get into it, but like basketball brings everybody together. So like if you're a friend with some guy, that means you're going to be a friend with another guy. So you can land in a country and you play against a guy and some guy goes, "Hey, remember such and such?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, that's my guy. I went to high school with him, or I played college with him." So it's like if you kind of treat everybody equally, fairly, be a nice guy, you'll always meet people because they'll be friends of other people. And so that's kind of the mantra that I've always taken is try to be the best teammate you can, best player you can, best person you can. And when you go to different places, you're going to meet guys and say, "Hey, I remember this guy through him." So that's probably my number one thing. And I would say number two, the game is not forever. And so meaning that you're not going to kind of do the same thing forever. Very rarely do you get to play, 20 years or coach 40 years. And so you're going to have to do something after or before to get you to that place. And so I was fortunate that I got into coaching through my buddies. My buddies kind of got me to coaching. So I was able to coach after I played. I coached 4 years in a pros, and then I coached 12 years AAU. And then I coached 5 years high school. And then I'm going back to high school this fall. I'm going to coach freshman boys again at a different high school. And I do camps. And so I do camps and stuff. And then I write books. I've written 8 books. And so, I actually have a camp in Cedar Rapids this Saturday coming up. But I just finished a camp in the Quad Cities. And so I think just understanding that this is not forever and you're going to kind of have to reinvent yourself and do other things to give back to the game.
Yeah, certainly.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. I didn't know that you had 8 books. I knew you had some books, but I didn't realize you had 8. That's really great, Acie. What are these books about?
I have a few. Well, let's see. I got a few. I always keep a few near me. So I have one of my favorite ones is how to create a college athlete, and that's for parents and kids who are going to go to college. Because, the game it's changed so much between the AAU and the different levels of college and the different rules. And so the How to Play Over College, How to Create a College Athlete is a really good book for parents who don't know anything about how this works, right? So it's a real definitional book. My latest book is Slavery in Sports, the Role of the Black Athlete. It kind of details how athletics has evolved over the years and what are the pitfalls and some of the problems of sports in general and the minority athletes. And then I actually co-authored a book with the doctor in Chicago and my brother, which is the Intro to Coaching book, because I taught at University of Iowa for 7 years. I taught the coaching course. And so we actually redid the book because the book that we were using was outdated. So I did that. I helped contribute to that book. And then my other favorite book that I like is Basketball's Main Ingredients, Part 1, Part 2. And Part 1 is definitions. And so a lot of times you may be a parent or you may be a kid and you're playing a sport and a coach is always talking about different terms like baseline, elbow, inline, just different terminology, footwork, get back, and sometimes the kids, because they pick up a sport late, or maybe they didn't play at a high level, and so now they're going to junior high or high school. It's a book to give them definitional terms of basketball. So that's just a few. But writing is a passion of mine, and you can always go to Amazon and get those books, or go to my website, venomsportstraining.com. But I love writing.
Yeah, how amazing is that? And the books are so amazing. It's amazing that you're doing that, but it's almost just another form of coaching, which is fantastic. Not only are you coaching on the court, but you're coaching off the court through these books and through your experiences and through your wisdom and knowledge of everything else. And then that's absolutely amazing. And if I'm not mistaken, I could be completely. I think that when me and you spoke about having you not only at the basketball camp, but you're also going to be at the expo as well. You'll actually be at the same booth with Sergio and Jason. If I'm not mistaken, you are going to be bringing in some of your books, so our attendees can purchase those books. Correct?
Yep. I'll bring them. They're $15 each, and I sign them on the spot. So it's fun to have 8 because you have different varieties for different people.
Absolutely.
And so you're right. I do so much mentoring and advising to parents and kids that, like, the book is like, if you can't reach me or we don't have enough time to talk, the book is kind of what that is. Like, you could kind of get that information through reading the books. And so,
right.
So that's worked out, well for parents, especially some parents didn't play the game and their kid is playing the game. So it's a good opportunity for even the parent to kind of get brushed up on what's going on.
Absolutely. And that happens a lot, even like, for instance, myself, grew up in high school. I kind of played what was considered the main 3 sports. Which a lot of people might argue that, but baseball, basketball, football, like that's what I played. But now my daughter is in competitive soccer. I don't really know a whole lot about soccer. Right. I mean, I know enough about sports. I follow sports enough that I have picked up the game, but I didn't play it. And it took me a while to learn that. So to your point, there's a lot of parents whose children are now playing a sport that they never played or that they're not familiar with. Maybe they were in golf, maybe they were cross country. So absolutely.
Yeah, and 100%. And even the way that the whole college and recruiting and elite camps and AAU and ASA and Olympic stuff. So that's another realm that even when I was playing, a lot of those avenues weren't available. So now, I talked to a parent the other night for 2 hours. She's all overwhelmed. Her son's like 7th or 8th grade, and they're very overwhelmed on the camps to do and the AAUs to do, and the whole college recruiting. How's that going to work? And so so my books are great resources for kind of giving a precursor to the parents and the kids, like what's going to happen or how is it going to happen or the proper way to do it.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. And unless I'm wrong, and I'm going to let Joni jump in here in a second, but unless I'm wrong, when I was growing up playing basketball, the only thing I remember outside of high school basketball or outside of school basketball, I should say, was you either went to a camp at a college, like an Iowa camp or an Augustana camp, or you were or you played in a 3-on-3 tournament. That's all I remember. I don't remember AAU teams. Maybe they were around, maybe they weren't. I don't remember them.
Well, see, in Illinois, it's a good point. So I tell parents all the time, when I was 15, 16, I played on an Iowa AAU team because AAU was banned in Illinois. So
there you go. That makes sense.
So a coach came and he got me, and my parents would drive me over to the Iowa side. So I played with a bunch of Quad City legends. Bruce Bibbs, Kelly Gant, Keeper Burridge, John Barnes, Lee Orr, Sonderleiter. I mean, some of these guys I know from that was my first AAU. So I know these guys, I remember this like the back of my tongue. I was 16, 15.
Love it.
So, and we played on that team. And then when I was 17, a coach called me from California and I played with the the immortal Pump brothers, Dana and David Pump. I played on their first ever pump and run team. So, like I said, there wasn't any AAU. So, I flew out and played on an LA team. So that stuff still happens to this day, because sometimes, kids are in an area where there's not a great AAU team. So like my son did that a couple of years ago where, we flew out and we played on a Denver-based team, and we played in LA and Vegas, but the team was based in Denver. But, we would fly out and meet the team in LA or Vegas. And so, a lot of times that happens with parents and kids, is that they get these phone calls or emails, or somebody calls them and say, hey, do you want to come do this? And what I tell parents is, the most exposure you can get, the better it is for your kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great advice. I mean, I my daughter's in volleyball, and that was a whole new world for me because I did dance. I was a dancer. That was my athletic outlet. And, it was really, overwhelming. So I really, relate to the mom, who you were helping the other night. Acie,
Mm-hmm.
you had talked about reinventing yourself. And I love that topic so much, because I think people just think, the career path that they're on is the only thing. And then they kind of lose a sense of their identity if they don't continue down that path. And then, sometimes they get depressed. And I love that you've given yourself permission to kind of reinvent yourself over and over and over again. So, looking ahead to the future, where is Acie Earl? Where do you see yourself at? And what do you see yourself doing here in the next, 5 to 10 years?
Well, one of the other greatest things I've heard is when I joined after I played, I joined the NBA Retired Players Union, and it's a bunch of us old ex-guys who played. And so you go to the conventions, and, we would have meetings, and we would have breakout sessions, and they would bring speakers in, and they would bring financial people in, and they bring, sports casting, everything people, what they wanted, you wanted to do. And the best thing I heard out of that first meeting, Danny Shays stood up and said, everybody in here is not corporate material. And he said, everybody in here can't coach. And he said, everybody in here can't broadcast. And he said, you got to find what you do that's valuable to others. And once I heard that, I was like, ding, okay. So I went back and got my first master's degree. Went back, got my first master's degree from Iowa in sport and recreation. I was a teaching assistant. One of my mentors said, hey, do you want to teach full time? I said, sure. He goes, okay. And then he had me invent a coaching course. I invented 3 courses at Iowa. I was there for 10 years, and unfortunately, during the COVID thing, I got let go. But, that spurred me on to writing books. And then I got back I kind of burned out a little bit from AAU. And then I got back into hosting camps. And so I don't do AAU anymore. I just host camps and train kids. And so, that's the niche that I created. Like, I understand that I may not ever be an NBA or college coach, right? I understand that I may not ever be on the Big Ten Network or ESPN or Fox. And I know a lot of guys that are, and they're doing a great job, and it makes me proud. I love Bardo and my guy Jimmy Jackson. They do a great job, and listen to Vince Carter and some of the other guys. And so, me being a teacher or instructor, that's different. Me writing books is different. So I kind of found my niche. And so, yeah, I went through a little depression when I stopped playing, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know, you wake up one day, you're sitting at home, and you look up and everybody's on TV doing stuff. I got guys who are coaching in college, NBA, guys are on TV broadcasting, and I'm like, okay, I played 12 years. What am I going to do? So I was fortunate to, like I said, go back to school and get some really good mentors, and just, for lack of a better term, do me. Not what everybody else was trying to do. I just did what I could do, and it worked so far.
It sure has. You've done a lot, and it's such an honor to be able to, talk with you and to learn from you and hear what you have to share.
And what wonderful advice from Danny Shays, obviously the son of legendary Dolph Shays.
Yep, Dolph Shays.
And to your point, you see guys, even a guy who came out of your own draft class like Chris Webber is on broadcasting and everything else and doing a fantastic job. But not everybody can do all these things. So you have to find your own niche. And I think, Acie, you found it. So I'm very excited to have you there along with the other guys. I think you have a wealth of knowledge to share. I think you're outstanding with the kids. I guess I want to let our listeners know if there's any parents that are out there that would like to take advantage of Acie's knowledge and his coaching. They will have the opportunity again on Sunday, September 12th at the Life Fitness Center in Bettendorf, Iowa. If anybody wants to know how to register for that, it's very simple. You just go to our website, which is QCFitFest.com, and it'll be a tab there that says events. Go to QCFitFest.com under the events tab, and you'll not only see the basketball camp that you can register, which is where Acie will be a guest coach at, but we're also going to have BAM there. And BAM, for some of our past listeners and for anybody who has not had a chance to listen, they are the test provider for the NBA, the junior NBA draft, the combine. So they do a lot of the combines for the NBA drafts, and we're going to have them there as well. And we'll talk about them on a later podcast. But please sign up. Acie will be there. Jason Caffey, Sergio McClain, a lot of amazing things. Acie, I just want to say I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us tonight. Is there anything that you would like to plug? How can people follow you? Do you have any camps coming up? I know you already let people know how to find your books, but how can people get a hold of you? Yeah,
they can always research Acie Earl basketball camps, and Phenom will come up, or Venom. So my company is Venom, as in snake venom, venomsportstraining.com, and the camps are on there. The books are on there. And my next camp is Saturday in Cedar Rapids at Isaac Newton Christian School, and it's 12 to 5 p.m. Boys and girls, 2nd to 12th grade. And so people can sign up on the spot, or they can go to the links and register as well. And it's just, it's been a fun summer. It's kind of gone too fast. I think we can all attest to that.
Absolutely.
And school is right around the corner. So that's crazy. And I got camps coming up. I got another one in September, like a fall 9-week session. And then I got an October one with the Windy City Bulls in Hoffman Estates. And then we'll come back in December for TBK for the Phenom ranking camp, the 3rd ranking camp, where we rank the players, everybody who comes to camp. So like I said, great
idea.
Great. It's been great to get with Phenom. They're in 34 states. And my son has been to camp. I've worked the camp, and I've been fortunate to work some of the greatest camps coaches in the world. I've worked Pat Summitt's camp, worked Vivian Stringer's camps. I worked worked Snow Valley, and that's what I would tell coaches and players today. Like, just because you played doesn't mean that you can coach. And that's what I thought. I was like, oh, okay. I played 4 years in NBA, played 8 years overseas, 3 MVPs. Like, what's somebody going to tell me? But when I worked camps, I just understood that what I thought I knew, I didn't know. And I was fortunate enough so I tell people all the time, if you want to get into coaching, go work a camp. Go watch a camp, So I would take my daughters to camp or my kids to camp, and sometimes I'd ask to work it, or I'd stay and watch. I wouldn't just drop my kid off and go to Walmart, So I'd stay there and watch, and you watch some of the greatest legendary coaches in the nation. Doug Bruno's camp I worked, DePaul. So fun times.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, again, anybody who wants to come check out, have their kid be a part of this camp, you just go to QCFitFest.com and go to the events tab for the registration form. Acie, if you have any camps before ours, maybe we'll come up and pass out some flyers, and please feel free to do the same thing at ours. If you have any camps after September 12th, please bring any information.
And make sure you email me that link so I can put it in my social media. My Twitter, my Phenom Twitter, and my Facebook, and my.
I definitely will. And then also, and I definitely will, and I appreciate that offer, Acie, and also for any listeners, If you don't have a child, but you still want to meet Acie Earl, you'll have your opportunity at our expo the day before, Saturday, September 11th at the River Center in downtown Davenport. We're actually going to be bringing in a portable basketball hoop, and guys like Jason and Sergio and Acie are all going to be kind of standing around the hoop, and Acie will have his books for sale there that you can stop by and get an autographed copy of his book. You could also buy it on the Amazon link that he gave earlier in the interview. And come by, shoot a basket with these guys, take a picture, give them a high five, and get an autograph, and make sure to come by and check out a legend in the sport like Acie.
Acie, thank you so much for joining us on the QC FitFest podcast.
Yep, thank you much. Great work. Hope to see you guys very soon.